Hello and welcome to Just So Rare. Today's video, I'm delighted to announce I've got another guest and his name is Felix, all the way from Berlin in Germany. So hello, Felix.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Felix, absolutely delighted you've agreed to do this and I appreciate giving up your time to do it as well. So before I start, I just want to thank you very, very much for doing it, okay?
Yeah, definitely. You're welcome. Yeah. Okay. Well, so I'm Felix. I'm 19. I'm from Germany. Live close to Berlin.
Yeah.
I just got done with school, and I'm planning to start university in the summer. And yeah, I've been following football for all my life, and just recently started it up with Sorare.
Fantastic. And Felix, I know we were talking just before recording this. I believe you're a big Hamburg fan. And to my delight, your English team would be Leeds United.
Definitely, yes. It's quite painful at the moment, to be fair, but you know, you got to stick with it.
I know you have. It's less said the better, to be honest. It's I just hope they can stay up this year. Felix, if I can firstly ask you what I'm planning to do, because I've interviewed, I don't know whether you've seen the interview with Bithorst. I'm attempting to interview people who've not been on the platform so long. And if it's okay with you, I'd like just to catch up with you every, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks to see how you're progressing. So would you be happy? You know, obviously I know time is precious and things, but if you wouldn't mind, like I said, every 2 months or something, just coming back on and just telling us where you are now from where you were from the time I spoke to you previously and see if you've changed anything, because I think it'd be interesting for people listening, especially new players, on how quickly you can progress in the game these days, because I know it's changed to when I first started, for example, and I think it's a wake-up call or a reality check for people who've been on as long as I have, because players were a lot cheaper back then. For me, I'm fascinated by this. So firstly, Felix, can I just ask you, how did you hear about Sorare and why did you decide to join the platform?
Yeah, so to be quite honest, I have no idea how I heard about Sorare. I figured it would have been off like an advertisement from La Liga or something.
Yeah.
But then I started looking on YouTube and probably watched most of the videos out there about Sorare, like what it's all about and stuff. And then after like 1 week, 1.5, I was like, okay, let's give it a try. Because I was quite new to all the crypto stuff as well, and always had my doubts. And yeah, so I decided to hop on. I bought my first limited team. And then 1 day later, I decided to sell it all and put more money in. And yeah, that's kind of how I got on it, to be honest. It wasn't like of anyone in particular. No one of my friends introduced me to it. It was just, I just picked it up somewhere and stuck with it, I guess.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You say it was probably from La Liga, because to my knowledge, it's the only place Sorare has actually advertised it on like the advertising boards and the grounds.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear that, because it's the first time I've heard someone say that's how they heard about Sorare. So that's really, really good to know that. Felix, if you don't mind, and I don't want to be nosy, but if you wouldn't mind sharing, how much have you invested so far into Sorare, and do you plan to invest any more?
Yeah, so I put in about 1.7 ETH when it was like way down, or like most of it I bought when it was way down.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's quite a big investment for me being so young.
Yeah.
So it was a big decision, but yeah, I don't know about investing more because uni is gonna be kind of expensive.
Yeah.
I'm moving to Norway for that, so I probably wouldn't consider putting in substantially more in the near future.
I think that's sensible, to be perfectly honest. And Felix, in terms of any rewards you win or F, are you
Mm.
planning on withdrawing that to try and recoup some of your investment, your initial investment?
Yeah, well, so at first I want to reinvest it into my teams and stuff, and then maybe in a year's time or so take out what I initially put in
Yeah.
to just be on the safe side. But that's all really undecided so far. It would largely depend on the development of the platform itself and whether other leagues are being added and stuff. Big open question, to be honest.
I think it's a very sensible approach, because my advice to anyone who started Sorare, as soon as you can get your investment back, your initial investment, I would highly recommend you do that. Not that I'm a financial advisor or anything, that's just the way I would look at it, because in my opinion, playing the game when you've got no worries about other things in terms of like what the platform is doing, I think you can enjoy it more.
Yeah.
There's just no risk to it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I've been involved with the stock market for probably the better part of a decade now.
All right.
And so yeah, it's been quite a tough decision for me to go into crypto, because I was always pretty doubtful. And at the end of the day, it's Sorare isn't really about the cards, it's more about ETH.
Yeah.
And I'm still not sure about the utility and all that. I have my doubts.
Yeah.
So I'll see.
So you had no idea prior to joining Sorare, no knowledge of crypto at all, is that correct?
Yeah, well, I've as I said, I followed the stock market and stuff, and within the last year, it's been like the big hype theme. So I followed it on the side and like I read up on it, but I just never really I never really understood the big hype behind it, to be quite honest. So it was for me, it was more about getting warm with crypto than with football.
Yeah.
So.
I would agree with that. When I first joined, I could have joined a lot sooner than I did, even though I was on early. But the crypto element was a large part of why I didn't actually join, because I had I wish I had, but I had no idea at the time of what crypto was, to be honest. But I think it's just a personal opinion. I think crypto's the future. Felix, so you said you started with a limited team, because Felix, in all honesty, your initial investment, did you say 1.7 or 1.3S?
1.7.
Yeah,
approximately.
Yeah. You know, because to the average working man, that's quite a lot of money, you know?
Yeah.
So when you started, did you want to buy players that you knew, and that's why you decided to go down the limited route? Do you own rare cards at this moment in time?
Yes, I own probably, well, I can actually tell you right now, I own 15 of each, 15 limited, 15 rare at the moment.
So
yes.
Sorry, Felix. I was just going to ask, so you compete in both the rare and limited teams?
Yeah, I just started with the rare like 2 weeks ago, I guess, when the MLS came back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my first team was like really cheap Bundesliga players, which I knew.
Yeah.
And then actually my first team was probably 4 Rennes players and 1 Bielefeld guy.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, I really like this, so I enjoy it so far. And then I threw it out and like took a different path. But to be quite fair, I haven't really decided what I want to do with my club yet.
Right.
I had a Florian Wirtz limited before the prices skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And I sold it at like 0.1 ETH profit, because I was like, okay,
wow,
he's not gonna go any higher than this. Yeah. But yeah.
Yes.
Should have held on. Yeah. No, but it's, for me, it's because I followed football in almost every single European top division, it's been basically I always buy players I know and have watched before.
Yeah.
So it's quite hard for me to figure out what I want to do.
Because you obviously live in Germany, you've got knowledge of German players that I wouldn't have, for example. I assume now with your teams, you've taken advantage of the knowledge that you've got of certain players who play for the lesser teams in Germany, who, like I said, I wouldn't have a clue who they are or if they were any good. You would have that knowledge. So you're taking advantage of that, I would take it, where possible.
Actually, I only have one Bundesliga player at the moment, which I just picked up.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, to be honest, I probably watch more Liga and Serie A, also Liga, because I don't have Sky. I only have the Zone.
Right.
So I can't watch the Bundesliga or Premier League. So my knowledge is actually well, I still follow it more actively than the others, but like I watch the others like for 90 minutes each time. So yeah.
And I think that's important, the eye test on players as well, because I know a lot of, especially like research that I've done, is all stats related. And I've bought players without ever watching them. I've just gone on the stats. But like they say, the eye doesn't lie. And sometimes you can pick a good player out. Some of them stand out like a sore thumb in certain games. You can see they're going to be a half decent player compared to the other players on the pitch. Does that make sense? You know,
yeah,
in terms
definitely.
of watching players.
In theory, yeah, it makes sense, but for me so far it hasn't really worked out.
Yeah.
I got I don't know if you know Domingos Duarte from Granada.
Right. I've heard of him.
Yeah, so he played for Portugal. Like I think he started in 2020. He made his first appearance and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's been injured at the beginning of the season, or he got injured in the beginning. And you know, I always thought he was really good when Granada was also playing in Europe. Either it was last season or the year before. I'm not too sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so he came back. He barely played. He came off the bench or didn't start at all. So I was like, right, I'm gonna buy a lot of his rare cards.
Yeah.
And so I had picked up two before this midweek game. And I thought, oh, they're playing Cadiz, bottom of the league almost.
Yeah.
And like one defender is injured, so he's for sure gonna play and start.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually did start, but he got sent off on a straight red after half an hour, and I was oh, fuck.
Sometimes it's just so frustrating, isn't it? You put all the time in, you know, watching these players, researching them, you think, I've got a bloody start here, and then they go and do something stupid like that, and then it starts making you think, am I doing the right thing, you know?
Yeah,
is my judgment as good as I thought it was? Possibly not, but that's football though, isn't it? Anything can happen on any given day. You know,
yeah, definitely.
A world-class player could do something stupid, you know, get sent off, I don't know, bloody miss an open goal or something. It happens to the very best. So, but I get your frustrations, you know. I think everyone could relate to that on the platform. Just moving on slightly, and I'm sure you're aware of what's gone on with all the nonsense with Sorare in the last few weeks, or especially the last week with the investment company Blackpool. Has that put you off in any way with Sorare? Have you got any concerns with that? Are you aware of it first and foremost?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I haven't really got like dove into it that much, but like I know the main problem of like the transferring and all that shit.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I kind of think it's good.
Yeah.
It's happening at this point in time. Because if it were to happen, like let's say in a year's time, if maybe the Premier League is on board, there would be much more PR problems than it is now.
Yeah.
At this size. And I think they just have to figure out what they want to do and how they want to appeal to the average customer, which, I mean, these guys must be filthy rich.
Yeah.
So they should decide if they want to appeal more to the average person or to the like elite kind of the game.
What you've just said there, I totally agree 100% with, because they have, in my opinion, have got to make a decision. Sorare. Do they want to appeal to the mass market, or do they just want to keep investment companies who are ploughing in at certain stages massive amounts of money happy and let them run riot basically and do what they want? So a lot of people that I speak to who also feel that way. Felix,
yeah, I mean,
sorry, go on.
I mean, if you feel like really attacked by it now and go all ranting on Twitter, I think it just doesn't help, you know, because we need to improve the game together as a community, which I think is really strong.
Yeah.
And, you know, we just got to stand for our opinion and try to maneuver Sorare into that direction at the end of the day.
Felix, you obviously don't know me very well because I'm very opinionated on Twitter. I done a video the other day with regards to my feelings about it. I'm just of the belief, and I'm just made this way. If something needs to be praised, then praise it. But if something needs to be criticised, justifiably so, and I think it was, then I think it should be, because otherwise these platforms will never improve. And ultimately, 99% of the users on that platform, they want Sorare to go parabolic. They want it to go crazy. They want it to be a worldwide platform, global, because ultimately it benefits everyone. You know, if there was when I joined, there were 500 users on Sorare.
Wow.
We're up to 100,000 now. Now, obviously, I've seen the massive jumps in prices and things like that, just purely on the numbers increasing. So in a year's time, can you imagine if there was like, I don't know, 1 million users, for argument's sake? It benefits everyone on the platform. As for me, there's no I genuinely don't know anyone who's joined Sorare who I've had any contact with, and they've come to me and said, oh look, this ain't really for me, I don't really like it. Every person that I know that have joined are still on the platform because they like it, you know, and
that's
potential.
That's quite remarkable. I also haven't heard of anyone disliking it.
That's great to know. People could say, like, I'm biased because, you know, I've made some decent money out of Sorare, because purely more luck than anything by getting on the platform early, numbers going through the roof. So I'm glad that you, as a new user, are sharing that opinion, because I'm thinking, is it only the people I know who was on at the same time or who joined at the same time as myself thinking that? Because we're biased, because all we're thinking about is the money we've made. So it's good to know that it's not just that, because you obviously haven't got to the stage that I and other users have in terms of profit. So it's good to know you can see the potential and everything like that. So I think that's encouraging for me to hear someone saying that. Felix, in terms of, because I don't want to talk about Blackpool anymore, or, you know, because I think enough have been said. In terms of Sorare, is it vital that they get the English Premier League on, in your opinion? Or do you believe that they should look at getting more leagues on? Because the English Premier League is obviously going to cost a lot of money, and I would argue they could probably join every league in the world up for the same cost as the Premier League. But is that a vital thing for you for growth, to get the English Premier League on?
For growth, definitely, because I mean, I see it here. Like every person I hear talk says, "Oh, the Premier League is so amazing," but it's purely because of the money that's flowing into it, and money also like the money is only flowing into it because of the attention it gets.
Yeah.
So if Sorare were to onboard the Premier League, it would be absolutely massive, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
think it should be their main priority at this stage
Yeah.
to also get the app out, but also do their best to get the license, because I mean, I would personally like other leagues to come in first, just for my personal priorities. But I
What
think for
leagues?
the
What leagues would you be talking about then, Felix?
I would really like to have the Danish league. Like the Danish league is already on there, but like with every team on it.
Yeah.
And especially for me, I would like the Norwegian first league, because one of my mates plays there. So it would be
Right.
quite fun to have his unique card in the future.
Right. So your mate is a professional football player in Norway.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, if they do come on, then you're obviously going to get a head start with him if you're in contact with him all the time, because he'll be telling you all about all the players, won't he?
I hope so.
So I'll then be contacting you so you can tell me.
Yeah, I'll definitely be selling everything and going only into the Norwegian league.
So how do you know him?
No, so I lived in America for a year,
Right.
and I met a guy from Norway who
Right.
I got like really close with. So I visited him, and his best friend, she's dating the guy who plays football professionally.
Right.
So I got to know him and everything. And yeah, I don't know, I just fell in love with Norway, and I'm also moving there for uni and probably my future life. So it'd be cool to have it on.
That's class, that is. That's excellent. Yeah. I love things like that. So when you say that's obviously your personal preference, you'd like Danish and the Norwegian league added. In terms of what you say, you said about the English Premier League. Now, I wouldn't argue, because obviously, and I don't think anyone would argue, the English Premier League, in terms of quality, and I might not be the best, but in terms of entertainment, it's the best league in the world. However, my only concern is a new company, or a newish company like Sorare, putting all their eggs in one basket, if you like, paying 700 million, I think the figures I've seen. Personally, it's a big risk to put the English. I understand what the plus sides are, you know, because obviously everyone wants to see it, really. However, my concern is it's huge cost to get the license for them, and then if the numbers don't come through as quickly, like I said, is there a danger that could jeopardize Sorare the future? It's a good debate. Interesting, put it that way. In terms of had you started, for example, now today, Sorare, would you have done anything differently in terms of either? You would, yeah?
Yeah, 100%. I would have probably bought 4 Turkish rare players. First of all, I would have started with choosing a good team at the beginning to have a good goalkeeper, because I do not have one. Common, which is quite an issue at the moment. But yeah, and then I would have gone for 4 Turkish rares, just for the threshold.
Why because, Turkish?
They play like a lot during the year. They don't have any breaks in it, really.
Yeah.
And then the rest I would have poured into limited cards all the way.
I understand. Do you believe the top 5 European leagues, especially in terms of value for money, do you think they're overpriced, underpriced? Do you feel you can get better value elsewhere if you look outside those leagues?
I think you can definitely get value elsewhere, but what I see, like when I look at the Ajax squad, I just like think to myself, what happens if they transfer in the summer? And of course, they're not going to perform the same way in any of the top leagues. So I kind of see it in mixed ways. I mean, of course, like I think actually I think Wirtz is pretty undervalued at his price point, given that he's probably going to stick at Leverkusen for another 2 seasons, I would say. But I think like the main players, like the Liverpool guys who are on, and also Haaland, are pretty overvalued.
Overvalued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Haaland, don't get me wrong, but he's not gonna really do substantial amounts internationally. Unfortunately, the national team is pretty weak, even though they're improving. So I think there should be more of a bigger gap to Mbappe in valuation, because he's not gonna play the World Cup and Mbappe is gonna probably win it. So yeah.
Very, very interesting what you just said, and I would agree with a lot of that. Haaland, and I mean this with all due respect, because you're obviously a German, but that German league is no better than the French league for me. There's obviously one outstanding. There's one outstanding club in Germany. Like you were, as soon as I started saying it, but there's one outstanding club, obviously Bayern. You've got to go back to the 1990s to another German club winning a European trophy. They can't compete with the Spanish teams in Europe. You look at Sevilla's record in especially the Europa Cup. Their record, and that's my problem. I don't think the German, and this is just my honest opinion, and I do watch quite a lot of it due to Sorare and other platforms I've been on. I think the standard with the other clubs is bang on average. There's some great players in Germany, don't get me wrong, but you look at the latest, Werner, he looked world class.
Oh no, he didn't. He did not.
You don't think so, do you?
Oh, he was like, he's fast, but he could not finish at Leipzig. I went to a couple Leipzig games, and always when I saw him, he missed big chances like every single game, and I was like, oh my God, they didn't sell him to Chelsea for that much money. He's kind of like Dan James, kind of, at United. He's just there for the pace.
Yeah.
And no, I wasn't surprised he got all that banter at Chelsea for missing, because it's just in his DNA, I feel like.
Yeah, that's interesting, because you've obviously seen him. I've only watched him as you, but every time I've seen Werner in most games, he looked well. And Havertz, he was the same. Now, when they come to the Premiership, they've both struggled big time, especially Werner. Jadon Sancho at Man United, they look different players to me to when they were playing in Germany, and that's because they've gone up in the jump in quality is massive for me. But I understand I'm speaking to a German, so I will. Yeah. I didn't mean any disrespect by that. That's just my opinion, and I think
no, definitely. It's down to, in Germany we still have the 50+1 rule, which means like no, Abramovich can't come over and buy a club and just pour his money in there.
I love that rule. I love that rule. It should be implemented everywhere in Europe.
But then you wouldn't have the Premier League in that capacity. That's the money that comes into the Premier League is the only reason they are so far ahead.
Yes.
I mean, like, the money our bottom teams get is not comparable to what Norwich gets. I mean, how much did they get for getting the promotion? Like 120 mil?
This is the issue I've got. The money in football, especially in English football, is just mental. It's crazy, and it's not sustainable, especially with the world we're living in. If Sky went bust tomorrow, half the football clubs would disappear, because they just can't sustain that. Obviously, the top clubs would survive, because like the Man United and Liverpool's, because they're global names and they make money through selling shirts from all over the world. Because Derby County, for example, they've been mismanaged. 120 years history could just be wiped out like that, because if they don't find the money, I think it's by the end of the season, they will cease to trade. Now, that's some greedy, incompetent idiot trying to run the show, and he's failed. And because he was chasing the Premier League money, like I said, he could wipe out 120 years history, English football.
Yeah.
Not so much now.
I mean, the money you pay for English players is ridiculous. I mean, if I look at Grealish or Maguire, they are nowhere near what has been paid for them. I don't understand it. It's mostly British players, to be fair, in the Prem. I just don't. And I think it's mostly about shirt sales and social media interactions for the clubs. I can't understand who pays that much money for Grealish.
Yes. English players or British players, they're way overvalued. You've only got to look at the transfer market, and it's been a constant, especially young English players. If they transfer to another English club, the amounts I've seen, you can get far better value in the Bundesliga, wherever, Spain, wherever you want to go. It's just, but it's the press in Britain, especially the English press. If there's a good youngster, they just build them up to be far better than they really are, and it's delusional, really, because they're not. It proves it, because every time England go to the World Cup and the Euros, more often than not, they fail, and generally it's Germany who knock them out. And that's just a fact, and they get found out on the big stage because, quite simply, they're not as good as their European counterparts. I think, Felix, I meant that with respect in terms of like the Bundesliga. I watched loads of the Bundesliga, mainly through Sorare, and I enjoy watching it. But in terms of quality, it's just not up there for me. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's definitely not as high level as Prem.
Yeah.
But I think the atmosphere makes up for it, and
it's brilliant, the atmosphere. How much? Sorry, Felix, because that's what I was going to ask. In terms of how much a ticket would be to go and see, I read, how much would a season ticket cost you?
Oh, I can't tell you that, but I can. Like the last time I went to a game, it cost me probably like 12 euros. It was the Berlin Derby.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's definitely amazing. Because like Arsenal, for example, you're talking some tickets at almost £100 per game.
Jesus Christ!
And that's where the English football is lost. It's lost all its soul, because genuine football fans can't afford to go to the games, and that's why the atmosphere is lacking in a lot of the games, because they're at the games because they're all commercial people. They're all there for the wine and all that nonsense. They don't even know what's going on the pitch because they've got no interest, and it's taken that.
It's probably about they're following the US model, where the clubs are there to make money for the owners.
Yes.
And that's why I'm quite happy it's not that way in Germany yet. I mean, it's gonna come eventually.
Do you think?
Because otherwise we won't be able to compete in Europe anymore. If it doesn't happen.
Do you think that 50+1 rule will be taken away then? At some stage?
Well, at some stage, fans and clubs have to come together and figure out if they want to keep competing in Europe or not. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. And I think in the end, money is going to win.
Yeah. Well,
I think nobody is going to care about the fan.
That's the problem. And it's happened here since the introduction of the Premier League. It's slowly but surely that's what's happened. And it's the game that I knew growing up as a kid is completely changed. Like the FA Cup in this country, historically the most famous cup competition in the world, you've got League One clubs fielding weakened teams because their league position is a priority. It's just a nonsense. It's done well, the money, in terms of making stadiums and things safer, children friendly and all of that, but in terms of the actual football, it's made it 100 times worse, in my opinion. Felix, very interesting, and it's good to know, because there's certain things that I've got no idea what's going on over there, but that 50+1 rule, I think is great, personally. Felix, In terms of what you've noticed on Sorare so far since you've been on there, if you could change one thing about Sorare, what would it be, if anything?
I would not like my clubs to be involved in Sorare, because then I'll probably go out and buy them and just get massively frustrated.
That's fair. That's a very fair comment, because I think there's two. They obviously weren't Leeds players at the time, but Rodrigo, I think, is on Sorare, and I was so
Yeah.
tempted to buy him, but I've never rated him as a player, to be fair, so I didn't want to buy him because I didn't have the money to waste. But I get where you're coming from. So that would, in terms of,
Yeah,
that would
I
be the
would.
change you would make.
No, that would be my dream scenario, but
Yeah,
I would probably do something about the goalkeeper situation,
yeah,
because I don't know. Or maybe, like I had it yesterday with Julian Alvarez. He got injured during the warm-up, and you can't do anything about that. I mean, you can research as much as you want. If he pulls his hamstring in the warm-up, you can't change him. And I
yeah.
think that's really frustrating. I think there should be, you should be able to change the players and like before they start playing the game. I think that would be, maybe it's just because it happened to me a couple times now, but
Yeah.
I think that would be an improvement for the overall feeling.
My counter argument to that would be: do you think that would not favour the bigger accounts who've got 500 players in their gallery, for argument's sake, rather than someone who's got 20? Because
Probably, but I mean, it hurts more for a person with less invested to miss
yeah,
out on a game week or potential reward than it would for someone who has the money already.
yeah, I get the argument again for both sides. Just my personal opinion, it would favour the Wales on the platform who've got 1,000 players in their gallery, and they could be changing, as soon as the team knew, oh, he's pulled his muscle, or I'll change him. That would be my main argument against it, but I understand where you're coming from too. With anything with so rare and football itself, there's a lot of luck involved.
Yeah.
And my personal opinion would be just, I don't particularly want subs and things coming in because for the reasons I've given. But it's interesting, and I understand why you feel that way, and I know a lot of people feel the same way as you. Just reading it on Twitter, because it comes up from time to time. So I do get that. In terms of your ambitions on Sorare, for argument's sake, in six months' time, where would you like to be on it? Would you want to be competing in every league you possibly could? Would you want a quality team, quality over quantity, if you like? Would you like a global Division 4 rare team where you're just going to be hopefully winning good rewards most game weeks?
I think I would be happy to be able to answer that question in 6 months, because I still don't know. I haven't decided what I want to do really.
Yeah.
I would really like to sell everything right now and like start over with the balance, but that's quite hard, I found out.
In terms of selling players you've bought maybe by mistake and trying to get rid of them?
Not particularly mistake, but yeah, like I just want to restructure, and it's quite hard to sell them, even if you price them fairly. Yeah. I find it. So I guess what I would be looking for a squad that could play in the World Cup as unlimited, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I think that's gonna be huge eventually. If they market it right, and then I would just lean back.
I would agree with that. I'm surprised what you've said with regards to liquidity of trying to get rid of players. Obviously, it depends on players, and I haven't got a gallery where they're all world-class players, far from it. However, limited, I think you could buy Donald Duck and sell him quite honestly,
Yeah,
because
limited, definitely.
it's far easier. And I wasn't against, like, people think I was against limited when they were first introduced. That was never the case. However, if I was starting with 500 quid, I'd just be trying to get a net grinding team, because my opinion is I'd win more over 12 months with that than just entering a limited team, because the likelihood is all I'm going to win is tier 3, which is not as valuable as 0.20F. But the market doesn't lie, and you can see, and I've noticed it. If I buy any limited card, if they have one good game, you're having offers. Yeah, absolutely, they jump, and the offers start coming through. Like, you get 3 or 4 offers on the same player within an hour, based on one game, which is crazy, really. So it's important, I think, for new users as well to where the market sentiment is, really, and follow the market, because they're definitely in the limited cards 100% in terms of liquidity. There's no doubt about that in my mind. It's crazy at this minute in time, but again, that's purely based on the numbers coming through. Huge numbers, especially huge. For example, like I said, when I started, there were 500 users tops. If I was looking to sell a player, it would take me ages, regardless whether he was scoring, good scores every week. Now, if you've got a player in your gallery who's scoring consistently well, you'll be having offers on it. If you put him up for sale, he'd be sold within like 24 hours, or you'll be getting offers for him. Back when I started, it'd probably take you 2 weeks, because there was no demand for them, because there wasn't enough users on there,
I can only imagine, yeah. But I get it, definitely.
I think it's, honestly, Felix, I just want to really thank you for coming on. I appreciate you giving your time again. It's crazy how Sorare has got me in, make no mistake, I've done well out of Sorare on a little investment, and it's documented on Twitter and things. But even better is speaking to people like you in Germany. It's just amazing what the platform is doing. People, I would have never spoken to you if it wasn't for Sorare. That's the reality of it. And it's just brilliant how a platform can bring people together for one love, basically, football.
Yeah,
and that's outstanding, and it's brilliant. I'm lost for words for once, but no, it's really, really good, and it just proves where they want to go to for it to be a global platform. It's on its right tracks, So, Felix, once again, thanks very much for your time, and
thanks for having me.
If we can, obviously when it suits you, in 6-7 weeks, if I can get you back on to see if you've changed anything, if you've progressed in a particular way, that would be great, because I think it would be very useful for other users as well on what you've done. So that's good for you, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Even though I've slagged the Bundesliga off.
Oh, that's fine. Hamburg is stuck in the second division at the moment. I can live with that.
I just want to admit, I wasn't slagging the Bundesliga off. It was just my opinion. I just don't, it's
yeah. No,
I'll leave it at that before I upset you even more.
No, you British lads are pretty stubborn about the Premier League being the best, so I didn't expect anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's there's certain parts of the German football I'd love to introduce over here, because I think it would do the game really, really good. But in terms of entertainment, and I think it proves it, because everyone wants to watch it. Wherever you are in the world, they all know English Premier League football, don't they? And that's the thing. So, Felix, once again, thanks very much, and I'll try and catch up with you in about 6-7 weeks.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks very much for coming on, Felix. You're a top man for doing it, so I really appreciate it. Thanks very much, Felix. Okay, and all the best, mate. And hope you win some rewards and efforts along the way as well before I speak to you next.
Cheers, you too, mate.
Cheers, pal. Thanks very much, mate.
Bye bye.
Bye.